This video is for spiritual people who have been sitting on an idea much too long. There's probably something you know you're meant to do, you know will benefit you, maybe even something you would love to do, but for whatever reason, you have not done so yet. You're having trouble taking action on the next step in your journey, the next step that has now become unavoidable. All roads lead to this next step, and you know it. You might also know that you have no legitimate excuse. Once in a while, when you allow your mind to kind of run away with itself, it can come up with what seem like legitimate reasons. But at the end of the day, when you find yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, you can feel it in your bones. You can feel it in your gut and heart and soul that it's time. But then you wake up the next day and you don't do it. You go to bed that night frustrated with yourself. Why am I not doing it? And this can lead to this prolonged, unnecessary delay. And even worse, it can lead to the spiritual seeker thinking that they're flawed or they're not enough, or there's something wrong with them. They lack the courage, they lack the discipline, they don't have what it takes to take the step. But you know also, parallel to that, you know you do. It's this weird paradox. You know you wouldn't be attracted to it in this sort of way where it resonates and is calling to you if it was something you really weren't capable of doing. And a lot of people get sort of stuck here. Myself included, many, many times. I'm not above it. I would always wait till the last second. I would always put things off like this as long as humanly possible until there's such an amount of resistance and problems stacking up due to my delay that I have no choice but to jump. It's like the whole building and side of the fence is on fire, and it's like, okay, even though I'm jumping into a pool of sharks, I'll take my chances. You know, I do that. So anyways, however, over the years I can say honestly, I've gotten a lot faster with this. And I've also come to understand, at least in my opinion, I think I'm accurate, why this happens. Why spiritual people have such trouble taking action on the things they know in their heart they're meant to do. There's a reason for that. Also, that reason, the information, that awareness can allow you to not let it stop you anymore. And the intention of this video is to help you by things I've learned along my 20-year spiritual awakening journey that can hopefully help you start taking more action. Because you know, I don't have to tell you this, but I'm going to, if you can just start taking action more courageously, more boldly, imagine if you always just went for the things you knew were right for you. How would your life look if your life was lived with more action taking? You got it in you, my friend. You can do it. And this video is my attempt to help you with that exact thing. So the first step is to stop beating yourself up. Even if there are no legitimate reasons why you can't take action. Maybe you're off of work right now. Maybe you got nothing but time. And maybe the thing you know you're to do isn't actually dangerous. Don't beat yourself up for not doing it. And I'll tell you why I think spiritual people struggle with this. And I say spiritual people, I almost don't like that term, but what I mean by that is people who are on the self-development process, people who are sensitive, people who are very self-aware, and are beginning to connect the dots between what's going on within themselves and their life. These kind of people can sense and experience on a very deep level their conditioning, their processing of their traumas, and just very strong emotions, strong energy. Even though nothing legitimately is stopping you from doing this thing, you might feel as if there is something big there, like it is very, very dicey, very, very dangerous. You might feel genuinely scared to do it, even if your mind doesn't understand where the fear is coming from. The fear, your experience, is real and is valid, and it's even, dare I say, amplified because of your hypersensitivity. And this is hard. It's hard to move through. It's hard to go against what instinctually feels dangerous. It really takes, it's not easy. So be easy on yourself, my friend. Don't look at it in such a surface level way. Understand that this very thing might be triggering some of your deepest fears. Fears and wounds that most people who seem to have an easy time going about life are completely oblivious to. Most of our trauma comes from the disassociation response. And as you may have heard, a lot of our trauma comes from early childhood. A lot of it before we can even speak. We're very vulnerable as little babies, obviously. We don't have many options. You can't flight, you can't flee. You're not gonna fight. So what we do a lot of times is we disassociate. It's a protective agent. I was hit by a firecracker when I was 9 years old, and the actual impact of it was painless because I disassociated. I went into shock. My point is, when you start to go through a spiritual awakening, you start to access some of those experiences and emotions and energies that you may have disassociated from. And you start to kind of unthaw. And for something to force you to disassociate from, it must have been emotionally stressful. So life will lead us, your higher self will lead you in these directions that seem like cool and exciting and expansive, but then there's like this unthawing process that ensues where you start to associate this next step with like some of your most painful emotions that were so painful you were suppressed at some point. So to your defense, it's harder on you because your experience of this action step, or even the contemplation of doing it, is quite big. It is a big deal. So I want to say that so you don't feel so bad about yourself. Now with that said, the second thing I want to say is that's still not an excuse. In fact, a lot of spiritual seekers get stuck. A lot of spiritual seekers, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're aware of it. They know that the next step is associated, in fact, with some kind of wound, and they say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to heal first. I'm not healed enough yet. This feels better. This feels safe. I can put this thing off. And then you go and you drink ayahuasca. You do all these different things, and you make some progress. You get some insights. But even that one issue is like one massive onion with many, 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 many layers, many, many, many different perspectives. And even though you may have experienced some insights and some healing and some liberation, wake up today and go do that very thing. It's still there. That knot of energy, that resistance is still there. And it can take a long time to work through that. And what I found is it's unnecessary. A lot of people get trapped on this journey of non-stop healing. My breakthrough is just around the corner. Once I heal this, then I can sort of safely move forward. I'll tell you this right now, that's still going to be scary. You'll be waiting a very, 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 very long time. And who knows, you probably wait so long to where bad ideas there's an expiration date sometimes on these things. You might have missed the boat. You don't have to wait that long. You don't have to be healed. You don't have to be perfect. One of the most liberating things you can discover is that as big as this resistance can feel, it can't really hurt you. It's all smoke and mirrors. And you can walk right through it at any time. And yes, it's scary. It is scary, and you might have even physical reactions sometimes. And because of all that, your first attempt at this thing might be horrible because you're all blocked up as you step forward. But then you just do it again and 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 again. And in doing so, you realize that you don't have to listen to those feelings. They want to not be discovered. They want to not be seen. They want you to stay where it's safe so they can keep living with you. By going forward, what you're saying is, I refuse to accept this as who I am. It may be a valid part of you. I don't say you should ever deny or suppress. It might be a valid part of you. At the same time, you have a choice if you allow it to call the shots. What I find people need most what has worked for me the most. You might not agree with it, but it's a little bit of stubbornness. It's like being bullheaded. What comes to mind is my daughter, Maya. I remember when she was like 5 or 6 years old, something like that. She really wanted to learn how to rollerblade. And she got these rollerblades, and at the time we were living in a travel trailer at a KOA campground in San Diego. And the way all the different like campers were set up, there was like these rows, and then there was like these streets, almost these paved streets. I'm like, all right, Maya, let's do it. So I took her around, and she got her rollerblades on, and she would go maybe a foot or two, like a couple little like steps, and she would boom, wipe out, head over heels, scraping up her elbow, crying, ah. And after a couple of these spills, I thought, okay, maybe it's not time for you. Maybe it's not time. So I was like, all right, Maya, how you feeling, buddy? You want to keep at it? And she would look at me, and she would be like, again. Almost like, whoa, who is this person? Again. She had that intense look, and I was like, okay. Sure enough, spilled again and again and again and again. By that time, by like 10 times, she was so battered up. I was like, Maya, I don't know if I can allow you to keep doing this. If we're going to keep doing this, you got to let Daddy, get some elbow pads and knee pads. So I went in the camper, got her all bandaged up again. And she would do it. And maybe after like probably 15, 20 spills, she could do it okay. She could go like maybe 10 feet. And you see the look on her face like, yes, like she knew she could do it. Before you know, within a day, she's like doing loops around the campground. I'm jogging with her, and it's like no big deal. A lot of spiritual people, they have such a absurd, unrealistic, otherworldly expectation for how they should do that they're not willing to fall even one time. I'm not going to put these rollerblades on until I know for a fact, until I have a scientist, a doctor, Archangel Michael, and Jesus Christ himself assure me it's going to work out. You're going to do a good job. But life is not like that. It's how we learn these spills, these problems. One of the things I do is I'm like a coach for business, people who want to start a spiritual business, most of which want to be on camera, a lot of them anyway. And it's always a journey for the person, even if they're talented, even if they're getting these like novel, inspired ideas, to learn the craft of translating it into a quality video to where their performance is a match for how they felt when they had that primordial idea. Usually what it is, there's a major, major, major disconnect between your vision and the product. Same with me. People say, wow, you seem comfortable on camera. Well, I've filmed thousands of videos. Many of which you've never seen because they weren't very good. It's practice, 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 practice. I'm learning guitar right now, and I've been at it about a year, and I'm pretty pleased with my progress. I'm getting pretty good, actually, for my liking, and I practice at least an hour a day, and I have all year with barely missing a day. And here's what I noticed. In the beginning, and even still mostly, there's like a learning curve of learning the mechanics where I'm not really playing music necessarily. I'm making sure my fingers are on the right spot. I'm making sure my timing is correct. I'm making sure I switch chords on time with the rhythm and things like that. So it's very much in my head, very much mechanical. But there's just one song I taught myself. I have a teacher actually. It's Young Forgiven by Metallica. It's a pretty hard song. It's a fingerstyle type with an acoustic. And anyway, I played it thousands and thousands of times. I've been learning it for like 9 months. Now, finally, I can play it musically, where I'm not thinking. Everything's automatic, at least the mechanics of it, and I can relax and sort of flow with it, and then it sounds finally musical. I wanted to play guitar because I wanted this exact experience. I wanted to create music out of just strings and a wooden thing, a guitar, basically. I thought, what an amazing kick-ass experience that would be. But in order to do that, even like a little bit with guitar, it's a challenging thing to learn, I had to suck. practicing was frustrating. A lot of times I almost could barely make myself practice because it would just be so clear that I'm not good, and I wasn't, and I still am not. I had to be stubborn though, stubborn. And I've learned that through that stubbornness, every day I play. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I'm having a good day or a bad day, if I'm being triggered by life or what. I will play that damn guitar no matter what, rain or shine. Oftentimes it's like disappointing. But now, finally, after just about the year mark, I finally getting the hang of it. And you can too. You can too, with anything you put your mind to. It's not just about having the spiritual alignment with it. Maybe even the past life history. Whatever it is you're wanting to do, especially if it involves your purpose, is probably something you're really connected to and have done many, many times throughout other lifetimes. Potentially, who knows? I feel that. Still, you find yourself in a human body with limitations, with conditioning, with resistance, with trauma, and it also just takes practice. It takes patience and persistence and practice. And a lot of us, we don't want to go through that, but we need to. And what I've learned that going through the problems, like my daughter Maya falling and having the stressful guitar lessons I forced myself to do, when you finally start to coast around on those rollerblades or sing your song on your camera and or whatever it is you're doing, or rock out to your favorite Metallica song, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And there are so many powerful attributes you can cultivate through the endurance of you sucking at something you want to do badly for a while. It's a priceless experience. It's like a rite of passage. And if you're willing, if you can be willing to press the envelope with your fears, with your traumas, validating them, acknowledging them, even allowing them to be present with you, but also not listening to them, and just see what happens. See what happens if you do that thing, if you go a little further than you did yesterday. See what happens. And if you're willing to do that not just once, but over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, I can guarantee you will break through. I can guarantee you'll also get a lot of that healing done that you thought you had to do beforehand. And you will be able to witness your power in a way like never before. And then anything that pops in your head, you could do. Most people are completely paralyzed by these very feelings that you are now up against. If you can show, you're right now, these are just words I'm saying. You need to show yourself this. I had to as well. I had to show myself these feelings are strong, but I am stronger. We have free will. And if you can give yourself this experience, then there's nothing you can't accomplish with hard work, patience,